think he'd say no. Other guys wouldn't be seen for dust, but we push him right to the edge. And he always comes back for more. At every major production you see him. Monaco, Cairo, Bangkok. Always with some chick in tow. What do you do with a guy who drives like that? You hire him.
Let the bass line get you.
Can you smell it? The endless sunshine, wealth, fame, the recreational drugs and deviant lifestyles, the clueless posturing and off-the-charts narcissism. You're in Hollywood now. Well, not quite.
Through the gap. Hit the boxes. Door off the van. Brake at the boxes and swing round. Cut. Where are you going?
You're not pretty enough to star in a film. Look at you. No, actually look at you though. Look at you. Jesus. But you're happy to throw yourself off buildings and set yourself on fire, right? Then a brief career in stunt personery might just be for you. Before you inevitably break your spine and are replaced with another psychopath. Stuntman is a great example of just how much money was sloshing around the video game industry in the early 2000s. It's such a small, niche idea. What if, instead of actually presenting a narrative in which you embody the big moments in the big stories, like your Bond games or Metal Gear games, what if you were playing the stunt guy trying to make it look believable? That's the kind of left field pitch that would never attract a big publisher nowadays. You'd see this kind of thing on Steam and it would have a few dozen good reviews. But these are the early days of the PS2. Video games are massive and growing. They're in the culture, they're on the TV, they're in the movies. So Atari themselves published this under the Infogrames name. But perhaps more importantly, this game was developed right here in Newcastle. In much the same way as it was a thrill to learn as a young adult that some of the most influential movies of all time were directed by Geordies, without people from my hometown, there would be no Blade Runner, Alien, or Top Gun. It's a similar feeling to know that some of my Northeast compatriots made games like the Destruction Derby and Driver series. This developer is Reflections and began making games for the Amiga, which is a machine that Americans watching this won't know much about, but it was a big deal here in the UK. Reflections are based at Partnership House here in Newcastle and are still active today as a wholly owned Ubisoft studio, making Just Dance and Tom Clancy games. Oh, also Grow Home. Have you played Grow Home? That's a really, really good game. You should play Grow Home. People from this part of the world don't see themselves as ever really being able to make that kind of impact in culture on a global scale. We were a shipbuilding and a mining town.
Do you ken Tubby Baxter, the wee Geordie lad, the best centre forward that the Morpeth ever had? And kick, head, smoke.
The notion of anyone from here making something globally notable like Blade Runner or Destruction Derby is just so weird for us. We don't live in California, but games like Stuntman show how we can imagine it. So, you're a stuntman, unsurprisingly, and you're trying to make your way to the very top. Your speciality is driving, because that way the Geordie boys can reuse the engine from the Driver games. So you'll be driving numerous vehicles in various different stunt scenarios across different films. The hook of the game is actually a bit ahead of its time, as it's essentially a driving roguelite. You'll be trying each scenario and restarting each one over and over until you learn enough to put together a perfect run, because each one is far more than just being one big stunt. You have multiple different moves to complete, all of which will be shouted out by the director and shown on screen with unique identifiers, and you need to complete a certain percentage of them in a single run to satisfy the film crew and move on. It sounds simple enough, but in truth the instructions are vague and they come at you so fast, it's impossible to run through these once and nail everything. If the idea of restarting a bunch of times and repeating the same moves to find some level of perfection is off-putting to you, then do not play this. You'll just get frustrated and quit, but I really enjoyed it.
Roadworks. Into the tunnel. Overtake. Overtake. the gap. Over the dumpster. And cut.
Speaking of frustration, you can't emulate this one now. Not that any of us would. Because there's some kind of CPU jankiness that breaks the pathfinding. Thanks, lads. Letting the Geordie programming community down a bit there, aren't we? Anyway, it does lead to something a little bit different. Look at this here. Where are these jokers going? Oh, we're in a different movie now. Alright, boys. You thinking about things, yeah? Regrets? Yeah. Rethinking the whole criminal thing. I get it. What's it all about, you know? You just think, like, what's it all about, really? You're running away from me? But are you running away from me? Or are you running away from yourself, you know? And it's the same for me. It's the same. I am chasing you. But am I chasing you? Or am I chasing myself? Jesus Christ, fucking cut. Oh, we're just having a breakthrough? This is another one of those games best played with friends and a few drinks, taking turns to see who can get further and closer to the perfect run. It helps that even when things go wrong, they can do so in quite entertaining ways, like accidentally hitting the wrong elements of the scene, driving off ledges instead of perfectly riding them, and so on. Plus, since every attempt can be enjoyed in an instant replay, it's a good laugh in a group. The films themselves incorporate a good old British sense of humour too, gently poking fun at some of the most popular genres of the day, from Guy Ritchie gangster films to actual Bond films, and it all has enough charm and character to keep you invested through the frustration of trying to land an exploding car in a tiny square 50 metres away for the 27th time. This is a frustration that isn't helped with loading times. Oh, get on with it. And when you're bored with the films, there's a course designer, so you can construct your own stunt courses to drive, or challenge each other to drive. I feel like Stuntman has been unfairly ignored, buried among the million PS2 driving games, and more specifically, lost among Reflection's own driver franchise entries. But it's such a unique idea, executed in such a flawed but charming way. It can only have come from my beloved homeland. And if you've not tried it and you're willing to be patient amidst an insane amount of repetition and loading times, then give this one a try.